We're live.
Gardens, please start the recordings.
Cloud underway.
Backup is
Good
rolling.
morning and welcome to today's remote New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Housing and Buildings. At this time, we ask that council members and staff please turn on their video for verification purposes. To minimize disruptions, please place cell phones and electronic devices to vibrate or silent. We thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Councilmember Robert Cornegy, Chair of the Council's Committee on Housing and Buildings. This is the very last Housing and Buildings vote of the session and my very last vote as Chair of the committee. We're here to hold a vote on a number of important bills that will help promote and explore affordable housing options, protect certain tenants and small landlords, and provide needed tax savings to some developers. Proposed Intro 2246A, sponsored by Councilmember Brannan, would establish a task force that would explore converting vacant or commercial unviable office spaces into other uses, including for affordable housing. Proposed Intro number 2265B, sponsored by Majority Leader Lori Cumbo, will require landlords to provide tenants with either stove safety knob covers or permanent self-locking stove knobs at the tenant's request where a child under the age of 6 resides in the unit. Proposed Intro 2411A, which I sponsored, would allow the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, or HPD, to enforce certain provisions of the New York City zoning resolution. Proposed Intro number 2449A, sponsored by Councilmember Gibson, would limit penalties issued by the Department of Buildings for the failure to certify correction and reinspection requirements. Proposed Intro number 2476, sponsored by Councilmember Yeager, would extend the J51 tax exemption and abatement program through June 30th, 2022. Finally, Resolution number 1840, sponsored by Councilmember Kalos, would call upon the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign A5573/S.1603 in relation to providing eviction without good cause. I'm joined today by members of the committee, which if you could read them, I can only see Barry. Good morning, Barry. Barry Grudenchik and other members, if you would please acknowledge the other members that are present in today's hearing. Anybody?
Thanks very much. We're joined by council members Cabrera, Chin, Jonai, Grudenchik, Lewis, Rosenthal, and we're also joined by Councilmember Yeager.
Which means we actually have a full house. Councilmember Yeager, would you like to read an opening statement as it relates to your resolution? Your bill.
No, Mr. Chair, I think you're able to do it such great justice. I'll just stand here and watch the show.
Thank you so much. I'll now ask the committee clerk to call the roll.
Good morning. This is the Committee on Housing and Buildings roll call vote on all 6 items already articulated and coupled by the chair. We'll start with Chair Cornegy.
I vote aye on all.
Councilmember Cabrera.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Chin.
I vote aye on all.
Councilmember Rosenthal.
Permission to explain my vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair Cornegy. I'm voting aye on all except for the bill. I'm not remembering the number about extending the J51. And the reason being that I think that this is a no vote simply to send a reminder, a message to the next council and the New York State Legislature that we really need to amend J51 so that it can do more to ensure that apartments are built for low-income New Yorkers. I'm a big supporter of affordable housing, have been my entire 2 years, and I see J51 421A, all of these tools as wonderful opportunities to build more affordable housing. So this is more of a ceremonial no, although I know it lists as a no in the committee records, but so I'm voting yes on everything else. Chair Gornigy, thank you for being such an amazing chair of this Housing and Buildings Committee. We were actually just talking about Councilmember Cabrera. Like him, you leave a lot of space for people to talk and share their ideas. And I've really appreciated your leadership. So thank you for that. And thank you for giving me the time to explain my vote.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Councilmember Grodenchik.
Thank you. Permission to explain my vote, Chair Cornegie.
Of course.
First, let me join with Councilwoman Rosenthal in thanking you for your leadership of this committee. It's been a privilege, an honor, and a great pleasure to serve with you on this committee for the past 4 years, and I greatly appreciate your leadership here. I do want to talk about Councilman Yeager's bill 2476, which will provide very modest relief for people in my district. And when I say people, I'm talking about probably 15,000 units of working class and middle class co-ops here in Eastern Queens. The relief, I understand the questions with the overall J51 program, but I urge my colleagues to vote for Councilman Yeager's bill. This is an extension for 6 months. Hopefully, the problems that ail this program can be fixed in the next session of the legislature. But I have been working closely with Assemblyman Braunstein and State Senator Stavisky on this, and I would appreciate the support of the people on this committee on this bill for not only people in my district, but for many people across the city of New York who are co-op owners and are struggling like so many New Yorkers during this pandemic. With that, I vote aye on all with the exception of Resolution 1840, on which I abstain. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Councilmember Jonai.
Permission to explain my vote.
Of course.
I want to thank you, Chairman Cornegie, for your leadership, your friendship, and for what you were able to do with this committee. Many of the things that we were able to deliver wouldn't have been possible without your commitment and your leadership. So for that, I'm thankful for making New York City a much better city. And with that, I vote no on Resolution 1840 and aye on the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Councilmember Lewis.
I vote aye on all.
Chair Cornegie, can you give me 1 moment, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair Cornegie. All items have been adopted by the committee by a vote of 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of Intro 2476, which was adopted by a vote of 6 in the affirmative, 1 negative, and 0 abstentions, as well as Resolution 1840, which was adopted by a vote of 5 in the affirmative, 1 negative, and 1 abstention.
Thank you. Today is bittersweet for me as we come to the end of this legislative session and the end of my term, having served as in the prior term the chair of small business, and in this term the chair of housing and buildings. I believe wholeheartedly that this is the best committee in the council because I'm very competitive like that. But I want to thank every member of this committee. Your perspectives on issues that are germane to the city of New York have shaped this committee as far as safety, as far as affordable housing, as far
Chair
as—
Cornegie?
Yes?
I'm sorry, Chair Cornegie. May I interrupt you? I think Councilmember Rivera is attempting to log on.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Chair, this is Jeff Baker. If you wanted to finish your statement, we'll just hold the vote open after you're done for a few more minutes for Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. I believe I was in the process of thanking the members of this committee for your insight, for your robust discussion around issues that were germane to the city and moving us forward in relation to housing and affordability and safety and a host of other issues. I would not have been able to lead this committee without your voices, without your insight, without your input. And without the robust discussion that we've had. We haven't always agreed on every single issue, but this committee has sought to make sure that everyone's voices are heard and to make sure that the perspectives of the representatives of this committee and the constituencies that they represent were always heard in these hearings. I want to lastly thank the committee staff for really, really working hard behind the scenes. We get to see these committee hearings, but all of the work really happens prior to and after these hearings. So I want to thank every member of the Housing and Buildings Committee who's been a part of making this last 4 years pleasurable and making me look good. So thank you, and we'll hold the vote open for Councilmember Rivera.
Bravo, Mr. Chairman.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. Always good to see you. I know you're going to do incredible work in the next session. I'll be watching and listening.
Thank you.
I'd be watching too, but I never know when we're going to get going. So it's, you got to have it permanently tuned to the right channel.
Yeah, just leave it on, Barry.
Just leave it on.
Councilmember Rivera has joined.
Thank you. Continuing the roll call vote. Councilmember Rivera.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Chair Cornegy, the revised vote is on all items is 8 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, except for Intro 2476, which is 7 in the affirmative and 1 negative, 0 abstentions, and Resolution 1840, which is 6 in the affirmative, 1 negative, 1 abstention. Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera, I suggest that you go back to the records to hear my long soliloquy at your leisure.
And I can say that it's worth waiting for. There's no question about
that. Two very sarcastic council members. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for taking the time to put a statement together, I guess.
I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Well done. Is this the room for all votes today?